Should we get started? Good afternoon. I hate to interrupt all of the great conversation that's going on because really that's a lot of what this event is all about. It's connecting our students and our donors and our trustees so we can learn a little bit more about why it is we do what we do with the Eastern Oregon University Foundation. Welcome this afternoon. My name is Tim Seidel. I'm the Vice President for University Advancement here at Eastern Oregon University, and I have the pleasure of welcoming you all here today. I wanted to take a moment first and thank my staff, the University Advancement crew, Tyler and Jesse and Rick and Linda, and the folks back at the office, and Laura, Carol, Chris, Amy, and Marianne for helping make these things happen, because without them, it's not really possible for us to put this on. I'd also like to thank all of our special guests here today, especially our University Foundation trustees and directors. And to tell you a little bit more about the foundation and why it is we do what we do, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike Allstott, who is the president and an alumnus, but president of the EOU Foundation Board of Directors.
Thank you, Tim. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us at the 2016 Tea and Trumpets celebration. As Tim mentioned, I'm Mike Allstott, president of the EOU Foundation. I'm a proud EOU alumni and scholarship recipient myself. I am very happy to see so many people turn out for this event. Each year, this event provides an opportunity for scholarship donors to meet the students who receive their support, and for students to share their dreams and ambitions, talk about their progress, and personally thank donors for their generosity. The EOU Foundation has made providing scholarships for new and returning students our top priority. Not only do scholarship funds help students realize their dream of a college education, but many of our graduates work in our local communities to build businesses, teach school, serve in community organizations, and generally enhance the quality of life in their own cities. In doing this, they give back much more than they've received from Eastern. The foundation currently stewards over $12 million in assets earmarked for student and university support. We award over $400,000 annually in scholarships each year, and that number is growing. With state funding cuts, private support is more critical than ever to our current and future success. The donors in this room today all make a significant impact on the lives of our students, this great university, and our region. For that, I would like to say a hearty thank you. For all of our students here today, as you complete your education, I hope you will consider giving back to your alma mater and support those who follow you at Eastern. Even the smallest start, $10 a month, can make a difference to a new student. Please consider continuing this great tradition by paying it forward for the next generation of talented students so that they too may benefit from all that you've received. Thank you again for coming today. This is a wonderful opportunity for student scholarship recipients to meet the people who support them. Thank you again. A special thank you to Sodexo and Chef Chris for the appetizers this afternoon. I would also like to thank Tim Seidel and his professional staff in University Advancement for their hard work in organizing this event and many other events. They diligently steward the relationships with our foundation, community, donors, and alumni. Now I'd like to introduce my friend and fellow alumnus, and also our new Eastern Oregon University president, Mr. Tom Insco.
Welcome, everyone. I can remember these events from not too long ago where we held them in Hoke and significantly fewer people, so this is just fantastic to have this turnout today, all the students, all the supporters of EOU. It's a privilege for me to be here today, and before I make a few other comments, I want to especially acknowledge EOU Foundation trustees and governing board trustees that are here today. You put in extra time, effort, and obviously financial support for our institution, and that translates to our students and their success. And so I just really want to acknowledge your commitment to this university and the fact that we have a bigger and growing Tea and Trumpets event every year, just an example of the future that we have in front of us. I look forward to someday having a nice big field house over on the west side of Quinn Coliseum that's about, I don't know, 15 times this size, that's filled up like this in 10 to 15 years. It's exciting where we're going to go. Couple of comments. I've been the president now for 6 months, and it's, I hate this. Sorry. It's an honor for me to be in this position. Tea and Trumpets in itself just gets me kind of emotional because what you'll get to see is students talking and telling their story and why we're here to change lives. As Mike mentioned, I was an alum. I graduated in '94. Emily graduated in '94 as well. And I always knew I was going to college. That wasn't a question. My dad and mom brought me up that way. They set me on the right path. I had that support. I was concerned about finances. They helped some, but I had significant hurdles. And because of people like you, the donors that came before you, I was able to go to Eastern and graduate without $1 of debt. Debt-free because of people like Alex P. and Margaret Davis, who gave me a 4-year scholarship to cover most of my tuition, for being able to get the President's Scholars Award that covered significant portions of my tuition, the C.E. Branner Award, which helped contribute to cover things like books and such, and then like a company like R.C. Cola, my 5th year. I got 2 degrees. Emily was 1 year behind me, and so I was trying to figure out what I was going to do in that last year because I knew I wanted to go to grad school. And I was finished with basketball. I applied for a scholarship, RC Cola, not a brand we really think of. I got a full ride scholarship from a company like that. Another example of a business that recognized the importance of education. So I was able to graduate with 2 degrees, go on to graduate school where I did incur some debt, but it propelled me to where I am today. I guarantee when I showed up as a freshman and when I graduated as a senior, I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be standing up here as the president of this institution. But people, benevolent people, similar to you, helped me get to where I am. And I'm one of so many examples, and you're going to see some today, of what you and EOU can create. I'm proud of what Eastern did for me, and so thank you for your contributions. The foundation, as many of you know, I served on the foundation as the president for a few years as well. We really have a 3-phase focus, and it's about access, affordability, and engagement. And when you overlay that with really what we're focused on as an institution today, we're focused on enrollment, retention, and graduation, or a successful career tied with graduation. So when you think about your dollars that you contribute, and students, as you think about, obviously, the recognition you're getting through that financial support, is providing access for students to come here. Especially in my role today, I always knew it was a hurdle for Eastern Oregon students in particular, but you look at the statistics, in Eastern Oregon, 80% of our students graduate from high school, which is better than the state. The state average is about 74%. So we're figuring out how to get a higher proportion of our students through high school. But when you look at people that have a 4-year degree, a university experience, we're nearly half of the state average. And so students, seeing a visible pathway to a university experience, it's a challenge, quite candidly. I was down in John Day, and I met with a class down there, and I just asked students to raise their hand in terms of, did they feel like they had the financial ability to go to university? I'm sorry, the number of hands that raised that they didn't feel like they had the chance to go on. That's what's motivated me to come back to this position, is to change that, especially for Eastern Oregon. And you're helping do that. We need a lot more. We need to broaden that, but we've got a great base that we're starting with today. And so I really thank you, and I apologize for being emotional. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. That's me. Get to know me over the coming years. I am really blessed to be in this position and interact with these students. Again, you're going to see some of that today, but literally just today. This morning, I got to go to a class Peter Wardelman was holding. We have high school students from Hood River here today and over the weekend. Peter's putting on, well, Peter and others are putting on soundtracks over the weekend. Hopefully you're able to make it. It's going to be a fantastic show. But we have students from Hood River that have come over that are interacting with our students to put on this production. And so one of the things he asked for them to share with me was, what's something that has occurred to you since you've been here? And one of the students said, how much the students care about each other. And that was so cool for me to hear, that they are experiencing what we have in our students here. People that care about each other. And we have a theme here at Eastern. It's EOU, Together It's Possible. And already those high school students were seeing how faculty and the students are pulling together to help one another be successful. So that's pretty cool. Then, literally a couple hours later, I got asked to participate in a class of all seniors in the physical education department. It's called FISH. Area, Kelly Rice, Dr. Kelly Rice's class. And what they wanted to do was engage with me about a project they're doing in terms of helping people deal with stress, physical fitness being a huge component of that. Traditionally, they focus on external constituents or groups. This year, they decided they want to focus internally, which again, I'm just like, this is cool. This is really perpetuating what I want to create in terms of a culture at EOU. They said, we want to create a community here that we're helping one another dealing with stress, especially underclassmen. If you think about your freshman year, those of us that are beyond that, some of you may be freshmen here, but especially winter term. I can still remember I had a scholarship that was helping me pay. I'd taken on basketball. It was a new environment, and I had to maintain at least a 3.0, which I was taking very challenging classes, and I was on the edge. I was stressed out about that. Students experience that kind of environment here, and the fact that this class was focused on helping their fellow students just exemplifies what we're here and about here at EOU. So I am just so blessed to be part of this and to help perpetuate our growth and to make a bigger difference as a university for the students that we serve and ultimately for the broader community. And so what other statistics are out there other than Tom's emotional, sappy talking about stuff that we have? I want to share with all of you too that just recently The Economist did a rankings of universities. It's the first ranking that The Economist has ever done. And they did a different approach than the traditional one. A lot of the rankings tend to focus on, for example, what's the salary of graduates. They don't basically take into consideration that a $100,000 salary in New York City is the equivalent to more like $35,000 in LeGrand, Oregon. And these other surveys look at, is it a party school, is it fun, all that kind of stuff. What the economists focused on, and again, why I love EOU, is it focused on what's the performance of the graduates of the school relative to the investment put in. So in other words, what is their salary relative to the investment they make? And EOU was the #1 public university in the state of Oregon, #2 of all universities in the state of Oregon, private and public. We were 216th in the nation, so it tells you we've got a lot of opportunity to get better. But what that did was, for us, give confirmation that the dollars spent here at EOU have more significant impact than any other institution, except one in the state of Oregon. I like that. That's why it's easy for Emily and I to give back to this university, one, because we benefited so much, but we know we want our dollars to have significant impact, and they do here. And so it's my pleasure to turn the mic over to back to Tim and then over to these students for you to hear their stories, because you are making a difference in these young people's lives and these students' lives, and you're helping them fulfill their dreams just like others helped me fulfill my dreams. So thank you, and thank you for enduring my emotional side. Tim?
Thanks, Tom. This is getting into what I think is just a great part of this program, which is when we can hear from our scholarship recipients and today from some of our donors as well. So I would like to welcome first up Rochelle Chamberlain, who just came over from volleyball practice. She is from Challis, Idaho, and currently a biology major, who I understand wants to go on to chiropractic school, which is great. I can talk to you about my back after this from a lot of road trips. But we also know that you're a recipient of the Student Retention Scholarship and the Badgley Memorial Scholarship. So would you please come up and share with us?
Hi, my name is Rochelle Chamberlain. I'm a junior here at Eastern, and like you said, I'm studying pre-med. I want to go to chiropractic school after I finish here. I'm a member of the Eastern Oregon volleyball team, who's been to nationals the last 2 years. First year was the first year in school history that we had ever gone, or that Eastern had ever gone to nationals. I chose Eastern because of the atmosphere of the community, honestly. The people in the community give so much back to the school, and the school has a great community among athletes and among other students. And that part makes going to school here an enjoyable experience. Eastern is a place that I believe that I can be successful later on, and I can get the education that I need to pursue my career. I'm from Challis, Idaho. It's a small town. I live I graduated with 17 people in my class. I'm from a ranching family. We own a cattle ranch in Challis, so paying for school was always a big deal. I thought that I was going to pay for school through athletics, and that helps so much, but it's a huge thing to get other academic scholarships and other scholarships to help pay for school. I have 3 more years of schooling, so I'm hoping to get out of undergrad with no debt. That's good so far. And then I hope to continue on to chiropractic school and pursue my career. So.
Thanks. And are you headed back to practice? All right. Go Mountaineers. Next up, I'd like to introduce a couple that I've known for a while here, and they became engaged with Eastern Oregon University right off the bat, right after arriving in town, and have had, I think, a significant impact on this institution, but most importantly, they've always been there to help whenever there was a student need. It was something where they would come to us and say, if you have a student or students that need help, we're ready to jump in. And please help us know, let us know how we can help and how we can affect some change in some lives here. I'd like to introduce Sean and Lisa Mangum to come up and tell us a little bit about why they're giving to the EOU Foundation. And Lisa is also a student at Eastern as well. So. Okay, Lisa's coming up.
Thank you, Tim. I was just told by Dr. Dan Beckner at Apple Eye Care I need to increase my prescription, so we're doing really large type. This could be ugly. Bear with me. Tyler Dubsky asked me several weeks ago if I'd consider speaking at this event regarding why we choose to donate. And I usually like to support others more anonymously. So this request, combined with the article in the Mountaineer magazine, gave me some pause. Once I did agree, however, I found myself giving the issue more consideration than I thought I might. Why do we donors feel compelled to do this? Give resources we have worked to earn to people we have never met, and aside from this event, may never see again. Speaking for myself and preparing to address you, I've come to realize that my reasons for supporting EOU have changed over the years. When we first moved to LeGrand 16 years ago, we started going to the sports events, as Tim said, at the university, and we got to know the students, the coaches, and community members pretty well and decided to become boosters. It was a fun way to get involved in our new home and see the results of fundraising efforts yield fairly rapid results. Not long after that, I wished to honor my great aunt, Jeannie Rogers, who was an educator and relentlessly fabulous. And I did that with a scholarship in her name, and one of my favorite Christmas memories will always be letting her know that I'd established this scholarship for others out of respect for her, and this is where I might get weepy. It was amazing. It just floored her, and consider doing this yourself. It's a wonderful Christmas gift. In intervening years, I was forced to retire because of an immune system collapse, which affected me cognitively. I promised my brain I would take it back to school if I recovered to a degree that made that possible. I did, yay, and I'm now a senior in the anthropology sociology program with a major emphasis in anthropology. Yeah. And I love it. For those of you who would be interested in coming back and taking classes on an audit, I highly encourage you to do so. It's incredibly fun. Initially, Tea and Trumpets was a nice event where we got dressed up and listened to students' inspiring stories once a year. It has changed into a bit of an interesting dynamic where I encounter classmates who greet me with, "Oh, you have a scholarship too," and they're genuinely happy for me. I'm always a little reluctant to tell them I'm actually a donor, as I worry that it might change the dynamics of my relationship with them. Ooh, okay, I'm getting misty. And those relationships are why I feel more strongly than ever before about supporting the university. Fellow donors, it is one thing to hear that a large percentage of our students are the first in their families to go to college, and quite another to imagine the fortitude it takes to make that first step. My husband remains the sole member of his immediate family to have a degree, let alone two, which he does. And I've seen firsthand how moving into experiences beyond your family's own can change the dynamics in that family for the student. Consider that coupled with the fact that over 90% of the students here need financial aid to attend EOU, talk about leaps of faith. I don't go traveling without a backup toothbrush. These guys are so brave. Not to sound trite, but the pioneering spirit that founded the Oregon Territory is very much alive in my classmates and fellow students. They are fearless in pursuing the betterment of themselves and their lives. As many of them are literally living off financial aid, I have watched them negotiate challenges with grace. Between terms, many of them are down to virtually no money. They don't tell you this at these things, but I get to watch them, and are dealing with things like cars with no heat, cars that don't work, computers that die, not having money for allergy medicine, dental care. or bronchitis, over-the-counter medicine. Despite this, they are positive, engaged, diligent, and some of the most generous people I have had the pleasure of ever meeting. With this last funding increase by the state, we are sadly still not up to pre-recession funding levels. Given the declining support for education, and EOU in particular, the bias is there, we've received over the last decade or so, our professors and administration have had to perform the equivalent of a ballet in the midst of a minefield, exhibiting grace and strength while never knowing when or where support could blow up on them. You'd never know it. As you may be aware, many of our professors are highly regarded at the national and international levels and could work anywhere else, but choose to stay here because they are dedicated to their institution, their peers, and their students. Tim Seidel and his staff have provided continuity in the midst of all our administration changes, and I am hopeful about the stability that I believe President Tom Insco will bring to the table. What we have here at EOU is unique. We are helping pioneering individuals, corny as it sounds, mountaineers, find their way. The reason I continue to give is the realization that, like many things in Eastern Oregon, if we want it done, and we want it done well, we are going to have to build it ourselves, perhaps more so than ever before. Fellow donors, thank you for all you do. Your generosity is integral to the success of this institution and the people before you. If you haven't included Eastern Oregon University in your estate plan as I have, please consider doing so. If that doesn't appeal, consider your increasing immediate gifts now, if it's possible for you. The less our students have to cobble together money for each term, the more they can focus on school, become incredibly successful, and emulate the example you have set for them, that of selflessness for the betterment of all. Regardless, thank you again, and to my fellow students, please feel free to acquire billions in the most ethical manner possible. And in return for the largesse you've received, emulate Phil Knight in providing fiscal security for your alma mater. Thank you for your attention, and God bless us, everyone.
Wow, thank you, Lisa. Maybe after you graduate, we could talk about a career in development. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Next up, I would like to introduce a student. We call him a super senior. I'm not sure if I should use his name or not. I know he likes to go by the man from Mars. But he is a super senior majoring in both computer science and music. So a fantastic combination there. And we were talking at the table earlier about maybe he could come back next year and perform at this, but he's going to be in Spain attending graduate school. So he might not be able to get back very quickly, but maybe we could still work something out. With that, Devin, would you like to come up and speak with us for a few minutes?
Sir, you are a tall man. Jeez. I'm gonna lower this. I probably don't need it. I have a pretty loud voice. And I have no cards. I get to pretend to be professional today. Good evening, all, or should I say afternoon, I suppose. My name is Devon Danaski. I'm originally from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I have moved to this area in 2002 because my parents purchased a business downtown. Now, I remember the first time I came to this town in 3rd grade, and I saw snow, and I was like, it looks wonderful. It's like little aliens invading the planet. Then I went outside. I've never gotten along with snow since then because something so wonderful can be so cold. But today I want to present this differently and not so much analyze my achievements, but those who can't be here with us. And so I'm going to start with this discussion question. What is college? Anyone? You can give me the textbook definition over here. Well, college is defined as an educational institution, but that's just looking at the surface. So what I want to take you through is beneath the skin, if you will, of what happens at this particular university that I see every day. reflecting through my students and myself. And I would define college as a collection of experiences through the ideas of families, ideas, and self-improvement. Now I remember, well, let me first state by this, if I can words. It's important for us to reflect on our past in order to accurately gauge on where we're going with our future. I firmly believe this, at least. I don't know if anyone else is a fan. And growing up here in LeGrand, we had a house in Vegas in LeGrand. So I was raised basically single-handedly by my mother in this town, God bless her, while my father took care of things down in LeGrand. So unfortunately, they both worked all the time, so I was left with this idea of, oh, family is this thing where no one really comes together that often because we all have better things to do. And then I came to college, and the most important relationships I've ever forged in my life were at this university. It leaves me speechless to think about that I've come here expect, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing, whatever, not really interact with people, and then become attached to be something greater that I've never really experienced on the same level, which now I get to do because my family all lives in town. But does anyone realize how much we take togetherness for granted sometimes? And you never really learn to appreciate it unless you've never really had it. And my greatest relationships have been forged with people who I can hang out with until 3 o'clock in the morning discussing arbitrary things for no particular reason. Or the significance of the E minor 7 chord in this particular jazz tune, because why not? But that's just one aspect of family. And also learn to greater appreciate the people who are already in my life and realize, you know, you guys, if it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. I don't think I would have come out the same person. So I genuinely want to thank them and thank you for tolerating my rambling. I have seen here the exchange of ideas, which to me is the most fun part. I mean, obviously. Every year, I don't know if any of you know of the International Student Association. I've been involved for the last 2 years and this year. And it's fascinating to me, both as a human being and a musician, to see people from different cultures come together and create something that's bigger than their individual parts. It's fascinating. In music, I get to experience this every day. Whether it be, okay, I'm going to collaborate with this vibraphone player for this harmonic fill at, say, measure 17. Or it's like, oh, but I have a different background. I'm more of a gospel singer. Oh, really? Let us collaborate and see what fantastic new things we can come up with. And, of course, computer science, my other degree, which led me to working in IT, so I actually know quite a few of you already. It's good to see you here. And actually, computer science is what originally brought me to college, because I wanted to be someone who created the tools to let other people create. I've always been hugely inspired by the creative process. And so to me, being able to say, if you want us to do something, I will give you the tools to do it. I will give you the tools to become greater than what you think you can become. It's interesting, the exchange of ideas that happens at this, our university. And even in spite of this, what I feel is most important as a person living on this planet is self-improvement. I know a man who practices the drum set at least 18 hours a week. I love working with him because he has never once told me, I can't do it. I will get it. The fact that he has so much drive to never question his ability to do anything in life just blows my mind. Like, how many of us could honestly say when it comes to adversity, we don't feel the temptation to just say we can't do it? I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I know I've been guilty of it quite a few times. But perseverance is the key to becoming successful. And through all these things I have mentioned, I have improved my outlook on life, how I approach things in my everyday living, and I have developed an idea of what's important to me, which is where I will mention my soulmate, of course. I am speaking of my guitar. Her name is Eve. I named her this because she is the physical embodiment of my passion. It is, I don't care what any other musician will tell you, guitar is the greatest instrument in the universe. It's a little microcosm of infinite possibilities, both in emotional context and tonal range. But that brings me to an important point about life itself. Life's like a melody to me, it really is. You have a beginning note and an ending note. You go from point to point. What defines what makes that melody interesting is the path you choose to take. There's an infinite variety of paths. It's finding the one that speaks to you. At least I think so. So what have I achieved in college? And what is it to me? This place, Eastern Oregon University, is where I came to cultivate my dreams, my hopes, and the realities I choose to live in. It is where I have began what I believe firmly is the most important part of life, the journey of self-discovery, of learning who we are, what we choose to be, and where we're going. So what, in all summary, does this have to do with the foundation? Well, I feel like all this answers what this is, at least to me and to my fellow students who can't be here. This foundation is a foundation of lifetimes to be had, of families to be forged, loves to be loved, ideas to be cultivated, the moral principle to become better than what we perceive ourselves capable, of dreams that'll push us and those around us far beyond what we can grasp, to the tip of the stratosphere, to quote one of my songs. And ultimately, in evolution for all of us. So I'd like to say, in closing, God bless you. And give yourselves a round of applause. I'm going to do it. You are what makes this possible. All right? And I don't want anyone telling you that you don't deserve what you did, okay? You touch lives in ways that mere humans cannot fathom on a daily basis. That's why I feel like it's important in this to go under the surface of what an institution looks like and what it really is to those who live it as a reality. So God bless you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. That was a great talk. I would like to next introduce a couple of our newer trustees, Tim and Linda Gleason, who we began working with just last year, but they're also scholarship donors themselves, and I'd like to invite them up to talk a little bit about why they give.
Well, that's a hard act to follow, but we'll try. Good afternoon, everyone. Tim and I are really happy to be here today. This is after living in La Grande for 30 years, this is our first Tea and Trumpets. So, kind of exciting. We've been asked to tell you a little bit about why we decided to start a scholarship at Eastern this past year and kind of the steps that motivated us and got us interested in doing that. Both Tim and I grew up in the Willamette Valley, so we are native Oregonians, but from the west side. And he went to Sunset High School, I went to Beaverton, for any of you that know about the west side. And at that time, when I was growing up in Beaverton, LeGrand and Eastern Oregon just weren't in my radar. We all thought that Bend was Eastern Oregon, and there wasn't much past that except Idaho. Anyway, my perspective has changed. Over the years, Tim and I attended a lot of different schools as we were pursuing our educations and our careers. And with so many different alma maters, it became increasingly confusing and difficult to decide which one to support. They all wanted our support and increasingly needed our support, but they were all so far away. In the early 70s, suddenly we became aware of LeGrand when my husband's sister decided to go to school here at EOU. Later on, we were just finishing our studies and a job opportunity opened up in LeGrand, and we knew, hey, there's a university there. Let's look over it. And I know that having EOU here was a real important deciding factor when we settled here to raise our family 35 years ago. Over the past 35 years, we have just taken advantage of everything this college had to offer, university now. From athletic events to theater, symphony, classes, seminars, college credits for our children, summer camps. I mean, the list just is endless because we have really utilized Eastern during our time here. And even to the fact that 2 years ago, our daughter's wedding reception was right here. And it was even a little fuller, but not much. We filled it up too. So this past year, another point I want to make is that because of my work, I'm a pharmacist and I kind of float around to different pharmacies. And so I travel a lot through Eastern Oregon. And it became really interesting to me to hear how many people were either enrolled at Eastern, either through distance ed or had gone to Eastern, and then were working in the community. It was just really I began to realize what an impact Eastern had not only on LeGrand, but this entire region. And this past year, we were approached to ask if we would support the college financially. And we looked at each other and we said, well, we have literally been attending EOU for 35 years in a way, and we never really realized it. And so, now I'll get Laturi. But truly, we thought Eastern had become our alma mater, and it was time for us to get back.
Well, thank you, wife. And my name's Tim. And can you hear me? Okay, thanks. I'd like to add a few additional comments to what my wife said. First of all, Linda and I have always placed great value in higher education, and for many good reasons, and we've heard many good reasons already today. But I think G.K. Chesterton expressed it best when he said, education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. Now, the soul is a big word, and so part of it, I think, can be expressed in the words, in the sense that through education, our society passes on its knowledge and wisdom to those future generations. Now, it's apparent to Linda and I that higher education has changed since our undergraduate years, and probably the cost of a university degree is the greatest change. With this in mind, the Gleason Scholarship is designed to help any serious qualified student, regardless of major, who might have difficulty in completing his or her education without some financial help. Now, as Linda mentioned, when we reviewed just how much we have benefited from Eastern all these years, it is, and given to us, it is with sincere, great gratitude that we give back to Eastern in this way. Winston Churchill said a very wise thing. He said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." This certainly applies to how Linda and myself view giving to Eastern. And we believe it is absolutely the right time for us to give to the university, especially with its most significant changes and transitions in leadership and governance. And we have the highest confidence in these new directions. We are also encouraging many of those around us to give also. And we want to keep doing this. And I like to pass on to them, as I'm going to pass on to you tonight, an analogy penned by Thornton Wilder when he said, billions, money, is like manure. It's not worth anything unless it's spread around, encouraging young things to grow. So, enough said. Linda and I thank you for this opportunity to meet new faces, see old faces, well, young old faces, sorry, and to share a bit. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Gleasons. It's terrific to have you as part of the EOU family. Last but not least, I would like to introduce Crystal Zaplishny. Crystal, come on up. And she's a senior graduating at the end of this term, and I think she has some fantastic things to share with us today. Crystal?
Wow. Okay, I think my anxiety just went way up. But, so, my name is Crystal Zaplishny. I'm a 29-year-old senior student here at Eastern. I started this journey a little later than most. As a non-traditional student, I was 24 years old. I was a mother of a 3-year-old with severe disabilities, who is now 8. She'll be 9 in April. This is my 6th year here at Eastern, and honestly never thought college was something for me. I am the first person in my family to ever attend college, to actually succeed in graduating. To be honest, I never, this was not something in my future. When my daughter was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, I knew at that time that I wanted to be a nurse, and I knew that I wanted to help people, but she kind of changed my world. And so when I came back to school, I came here to give people with disabilities a voice that isn't heard. My main thing when I came to Eastern was to finish my nursing degree that I had started in Salem. But with talking to advisors and whatnot, I knew that that wasn't probably something that I could do with my daughter's needs and whatnot. And so I decided social work was something I wanted to go for. So at the end of this term, I will be graduating with a bachelor's in anthropology and sociology with an emphasis in social work and a minor in communications. Now, when I came to LeGrand, it was a culture shock. I missed the city lights for years. Now I go home, and I don't want to be there. I love this community, and I love all of you for giving me this opportunity, and I want to stay here. So that's hopefully when I'm done, I will find something here in this community and be able to give back to others as you have given to me. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Crystal. I think it's apparent that why we do what we do is because we change lives, whether through scholarships for a non-traditional student like Crystal to come back and finish her degree, or a volleyball player to be able to come and compete and get her degree and move on with her life. A couple of the scholarships tonight that folks have received were funded by faculty. The Badgley Scholarship, the Jalen Bishop Scholarship, were longtime professors here who left gifts to the university, and we have others who've done the same thing here, even with our president's family, who've set aside funds to make sure that the students that they educated had an opportunity to complete that degree and go out and change the world, and that's really what we're all about. You're all welcome to take the gift bag on the table as we conclude. We hope these simple offerings will remind you of our gratitude for all that you do, whether you're the students that attended, the trustees who've been involved, the donors who've contributed, or anybody who has supported Eastern. In addition, we left an EOU Foundation brochure on your table with more information about ways that you can get involved with our foundation. And as many of you know, and as we've talked about a little bit, is that the EOU Music Department presents soundtracks tonight, tomorrow at a matinee, and tomorrow evening, featuring songs from movies, musicals, and video games. And if you haven't attended any of Dr. Wurtelman's performances along these lines, they are a blast. They are a great showcase of our students, all of their talents, and I think the talents also of our music department and what they can do to really put on a show. Those tickets go on sale if you don't have them already. They go on sale at the door 1 hour prior to the concert. Thank you so much again for coming tonight and for your continued support. Have a great evening, and go Mountaineers.